Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. It is Thursday, March 6, 2025, and the time is now 1:02 p.m. Will the Committee on Public Safety and Customer Services meeting please come to order? I'd like to welcome the committee members who are present in the chamber today. Committee Vice Chair Kiaʻāina, Councilmember Tolba, Councilmember Wire, and also joining us today is Councilmember Tupola. Pursuant to the Hawaii Revised Statutes, Section 92-3.7, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda when each item is taken up in two ways: in person in the council chamber and remotely. Before testifying, each person shall state their name for the record and will be limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution and Section 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For all oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time as may be necessary will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. All persons who have registered to testify in person will be called upon first. When your name is called, please come up to the testifier podium. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. After in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to remote testimony via video conference or phone. When I call your name, please monitor your screen and follow the prompt to unmute. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press star 9 if you wish to testify, and I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. Please listen for the prompt to unmute and press star 6. Hawaii Revised Statutes Section 92-3.7 requires that all votes at remote meetings be conducted by a roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections, and if there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off or silence all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. I'd like to also welcome and recognize Councilmember Nishimoto here joining us in the chamber. Members, moving on to agenda item number 1, Resolution 25-60. This resolution accepts a gift to the city of lunch and dinner meals from the Salvation Army, Hawaiian and Pacific Islands, valued at $1,074.30, provided to the participants at the Department of Emergency Management's Emergency Operations Center during the January 30, 2025 storm response. And I believe we have with us today Mr. Robert Harder, Logistics Officer of the Department of Emergency Management. Aloha, good afternoon, Mr. Harder. If you could just identify yourself and proceed with any testimony you'd like to have on this matter.
Robert Harder from the Department of Emergency Management. I'm the Logistics Officer there. We just want to thank the Salvation Army for their support of the city during this emergency that we had. In the Emergency Operations Center, we had a variety of city departments that were there throughout the night and throughout the day in response to that. And they're providing meals, which they do as part of their response. Was very grateful, and we're thank you for that.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing no questions, we will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding on with remote testimony, clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Members, we are in discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-60 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you, Mr. Harder. Moving on to agenda item number 2, Bill 7, 2025. This bill relates to the fire code and addresses fireworks use and violations in the city and county of Honolulu by amending section 20-6.9B of the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021. Members, please note that we posted a proposed CD1 amendment on the agenda submitted by Committee Vice Chair Kiaʻāina. A summary of the amendments was also posted. And at this time, I will defer to Committee Vice Chair Kiaʻāina to explain her amendment.
Thank you, Chair. First off, let me just talk about the underlying bill 7/2025, which was meant to address fireworks use and violations in the city, and the intent was to align state and city fireworks laws with consistent enforcement efforts among all applicable enforcement agencies. Illegal fireworks is a very important issue that affects the safety and well-being of our communities, as evidenced by the horrible tragedy that occurred on January 1st, 2025. To this end, however, it has been brought to my attention that City Charter Section 13115 and HRS 46-1.5 14D provide that a criminal penalty imposed by city ordinance may not be a more serious offense than a misdemeanor. As currently drafted, Bill 7 would be in conflict with these limitations. I would also like to point out that the current city fireworks laws, which are codified in the city's fire code, ROH Chapter 20, may be problematic as well because some of the fireworks prohibitions overlap with fireworks prohibitions in state law, and some of the penalty provisions therefore conflict with the penalties imposed under state law. In a 1977 case entitled State versus Modica, which Chair Waters has previously raised, the Hawaii Supreme Court found that it may raise constitutional concerns, both due process and equal protection, if the same act committed under the same circumstances is punishable by two different punishments, where one punishment is a more severe offense. So this is an issue that must be seriously considered. We must also consider preemption issues whereby a county ordinance may be preempted by a state statute if, among other things, the ordinance duplicates or contradicts state law. At this committee's meeting in January 2025, the Honolulu Police Department and the city's prosecuting attorney testified that the definitions in the state fireworks law should be amended to make violations easier to prosecute. For example, certain definitions make it difficult to convict those suspected of igniting illegal aerials because after an explosive device detonates, it does not exist, so the evidence has been destroyed. For the most part, definitions in state fireworks laws track the definitions in state fireworks laws. For all of these reasons, I have prepared a CD1 version of Bill 7 that aims to facilitate the effective and efficient enforcement of city and state fireworks laws while at the same time staying within the confines of state law and the city charter. Since some of the fireworks prohibitions in city law overlap with the fireworks prohibitions in state law, to the extent there are common prohibitions in city fireworks laws and state fireworks laws, city penalty provisions in my CD1 version of the bill refer to the penalties imposed under state law. To the extent there are common definitions in city fireworks laws and state fireworks laws, my CD1 version of the bill refers to the definitions established under state law. This way, if the state legislature amends the fireworks definitions in state law, the fireworks definitions in city law will be automatically updated. My CD1 is intended to align the enforcement and penalty provisions in city fireworks laws with state fireworks laws so that illegal fireworks perpetrators, especially with respect to illegal aerial devices, do not find loopholes to avoid prosecution. For example, violators of the prohibitions regarding aerial devices with a total weight of 25 pounds or more may argue that they should be prosecuted under city laws as a misdemeanor instead of under state law as a Class C felony. This would not be an issue under my CD1. If other state fireworks laws are amended this legislative session, city fireworks laws may also need to be amended for consistency purposes in a separate bill at a later date. After I filed my proposed CD1, I shared it with Corporation Counsel and the prosecuting attorney's office, and they had some good recommendations in addition to what is in the CD1 that I plan to consider and possibly include in a CD2 version of the bill when the bill is referred back to committee. And so I urge all of my colleagues to support the CD1 as it moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Committee Vice Chair Kiaʻāina. And I do want to mahalo you for all the work that you've put into this measure. I'm glad to be able to co-introduce it with you, but I know that this is stemming from the incidents that have happened since the new year started. I really want to thank you. Look forward to continuing to work with you as we move forward and get this piece of legislation in the right way that we can move forward with. And joining us today, we'll continue on from the administration. I believe we have Battalion Chief Pauchi Wang of the Honolulu Fire Department.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair Okimoto, Vice Chair Kiaʻāina, and community members. I am Battalion Chief Pauchi Wang with the Honolulu Fire Department. The Honolulu Fire Department is in support of Bill 7. The HFD's mission is to protect life and property, so it looks like this bill increases the penalties for illegal fireworks, and our hope is that it will reduce the use of illegal fireworks, and we would anticipate a drop in fireworks-related injuries and fires due to this bill. This would be a good thing for our community, and HFD is in support.
Thank you, Battalion Chief Wang. Members, do we have any questions for Battalion Chief Wang? Thank you. Seeing none, we also would like to welcome Major Rainer Ikehara of the Honolulu Police Department. Aloha and good afternoon, Major.
Good afternoon. I'm actually Captain Picaro with the Honolulu Police Department, Narcotics Vice Division.
Thank you.
As the department, we support this bill, and we're happy that we're looking at the definitions. I'll be available for questions.
Members, do we have any questions for Captain Picaro? Yes, Committee Vice
Actually,
Chair
I just want to
Kiaʻāina.
make a comment for both HFD and HPD. Thank you guys so much. It's a very difficult issue. I know there's a lot of bills going on at the state legislature. Again, our intent here was just because of the weak nature of city laws, we are trying to find a legal way to align ourselves so that we can give you the proper enforcement support, both for penalties and fines. And so we look forward to moving forward on this so that we can help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Committee Vice Chair Kiaʻāina. Captain Parker, I had a quick question, just kind of along the same lines. With this measure moving forward, and we all know it's important for all of us in our communities, how do you see the department being able to better enforce or manage the issue that we have with the illegal fireworks at this time?
When it comes to fireworks enforcement, there's two sides to it within the department. I'm a part of the Narcotics Vice Division, where we're proactively addressing this issue by doing covert operations through covert purchases and interdiction through parcels. In that situation, we actually have the device, we actually have the material evidence so that we can actually test and maybe prove to the current definition as it stands. But on the second side that we are looking at enforcement is on-view violations, which is more of the patrol, blue and whites patrolling the area where they're responding to calls of service in which people are actually lighting the device. And just like Representative mentioned, once the device is or the material is exploded, it's hard to have that evidence to prove that definition. So I believe by aligning to the state legislation, which is, there is a bill going through right now that amends the definition, it'll all be aligned and it wouldn't be so strict into what the definition is. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for explaining and sharing that. Members, any further questions for Captain Picaro? Okay, seeing none, thank you. We also like to welcome, joining us today, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Gabriel Huntington. Aloha, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Gabriel Huntington from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office. I'm here to speak on Bills 11, 12, and 13. So I'm going to rest on the written submissions by my office, if any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If it's okay, members, do we have any questions for Prosecuting Attorney? Okay, thank you. We'll have you back up for those other measures. Thank you. We will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Or non-registered, I should have specified, any in-person testifiers.
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding with remote testimony, clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Members, we are in discussion. Okay, seeing no further discussion, again, mahalo Committee Vice Chair Kiaʻāina for your efforts on this measure. The chair recommends that Bill 7, 2025 be amended to the posted proposed CD1 submitted by Councilmember Kiaʻāina. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, the bill is amended to CD1. The chair then recommends that Bill 7, 2025 CD1 be reported out for passage on second reading and scheduling of a public hearing. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 3, Bill 11, 2025. This bill provides for the strict regulation of electronic amusement devices to protect public health, safety, and welfare by adding a new article to Chapter 34 of the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021. This bill was introduced by Councilmembers Tupola and Dos Santos Tam, and I will defer to Councilmember Tupola at this time for the explanation.
Thank you so much, Chair.
I also understand that Councilmember Tupola has a hand-carried proposed CD1 amendment.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. So I'll explain the CD1 as well as the bill. So for clarity, I'm not going to get really legal here. The idea here came from the Game Room Task Force. I'm not sure if you guys have this, but in my community, I have like little tiny stores in the country, and most of them have gambling devices in them. And homeless people hang out there. Of course, it's just like 1 or 2 behind where they sell the milk, and everyone just kind of goes. And so what we don't want to do is we're not trying to throw uncle and auntie into federal prison, right? We want them to take their little game machine outside of the milk area of their grocery store and maybe not do that anymore. So the Gambling Task Force came up with this idea where it would be like a civil penalty asking them, hey, you're going to get a fine if you don't remove this. It's a gambling device. So they're not running a full-on game room. So this was, again, proposed by the task force. And so this CD is from the prosecutor, Gabe, who's here, so he can answer any questions that you might have. And this was us trying to clarify definitions, so clarifying the definition of alcohol, controlled substances, property owner, prostitution, premises. So you can look through it. There's quite a bit. A lot of it is technical amendments. And then it also, if you look under letter R, I want to say, Chair, you had some issues like we don't want to start to like require that PS5s get registered and people's home electronic devices. So we did say conforming edits to change electronic amusement device to a video amusement device. So we can still talk through this, and we do have the prosecutor here to try to answer any questions you might have. But again, we're not trying to permit this across the county for every little kid who has a video game at their house. This is a way for us to try to get it out of small areas where we know that it's a problem, it's illegal, but right now the only penalty is actually a felony. And so it's pretty high. And so we would like to do something that was more like a civil fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. With us in the chamber, we'd like to again welcome back I guess we have Captain Pacaro, but also Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Gabriel Huntington.
Good afternoon again, Chair and members. Gabriel Huntington on behalf of the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney. So I worked with Councilmember Tupola's office to produce a amendment from the original draft. This was to address some of the concerns HPD brought forward at the last meeting, which was that the administrative burden would be high. So the goals that I had was to reduce the administrative burden on HPD while maintaining the bill's ability to do the purposes that we wanted. And that's one, to get these small units out of small stores, but also to prevent larger operations along the lines of winter zone. So if a winter zone type company opened up again and put machines out, HPD would then have the right to go in and inspect it as part of the permitting process. So they're issuing permits very easily with a minimal effort on HPD's part and minimal effort on behalf of those seeking permits. As a result of that, I eliminated the civil portions and instead made it a criminal fine, only a fine, for failure to comply with the warrants. And failure to comply with the permitting process, but HPD will also be given the authority to issue warnings when necessary. So the real goal is to get these devices out, not to punish, like Councilmember said, aunties and uncles. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Attorney Gabriel Mr. Huntington. Members, do we have any questions for Prosecuting Attorney's Office? Councilmember Tupola?
I'll have one for Captain Picaro after. Thank you, though, for being here, and thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to welcome back up here Captain Picaro from Honolulu Police Department.
Hello again, Captain Picaro with the Honolulu Police Department, Narcotics Vice Division. Looking at this bill in its first version, the department was a little worried about the regulatory side up front as far as how much staffing and how much effort is put into registering and providing permits for every amusement device. But I believe the amendments have been made to kind of streamline that process, which we're a little bit more comfortable with. But ultimately, the spirit of this bill is exactly what we could use in order for us to streamline our investigations and have a better widespread approach to enforcement rather than one or two avenues that we currently have.
Thank you, Captain Picaro. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you. So you're saying that the CD is going to help with the administrative burden. And then just to clarify, what you just said about like spreading it out is basically what I took away from the Game Room Task Force notes, which Councilmember Dos Santos Tam sat on, not myself, was that we needed multiple ways to get at this, right? So this is why this is kind of, in my mind, kind of like the entry level punishment, right? A fine, a warning, hey, please don't do this, so that we don't just have the extremity of the enforcement. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Members, any further questions for Captain Picaro? Thank you, Captain Picaro. We'll now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding on with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Members, we are in discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Bill 11, 2025 be amended to the hand-carried proposed CD1 submitted by Councilmember Tupola. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, the bill is amended to a CD1. The chair then recommends that Bill 11, 2025 CD1 be reported out for passage on second reading and scheduling of a public hearing, and pursuant to its consecutive referral be referred to the Committee on Budget. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Members, moving on to agenda item number 4, Bill 12, 2025. This bill relates to gambling and addresses public nuisances relating to gambling activities throughout the city and county of Honolulu by adding a new article to Chapter 41 of the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021. This bill was introduced by Councilmembers Tupola and Dos Santos Tam, and I will defer once again to Councilmember Tupola. I also once again understand that Councilmember Tupola has a hand-carried proposed CD1 amendment.
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, so this specific piece of legislation is actually happening in Councilmember Dos Santos Tam's district. I was very fortunate to do a ride-along, ask some questions to the officers about how they're working with the DPP inspectors. I do know that Director Apuna was actually very in favor of this because we don't want inspectors to have any type of altercations with people that they don't need to be having. And then as well, it helps HPD so that they can actually do their enforcement of the game room. So if you look on the CD, we're basically just saying on the amendments that the building official may deny or refuse to process any application for a permit if they have a related gambling nuisance citation. So we're just trying to make sure that in buildings, which most of the places where you have game rooms, they're usually not permitted. It's usually in an illegal structure. Usually people are squatting. So there's high safety issues in the building on top of it. So we're trying to just make a more formal procedure for HPD and DPP to work together, which seems to have been working thus far in his district, and hopefully it'll work island-wide. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. We'll now proceed with our representatives from the administration. So I believe, again, we have with us, and I'll see all three of you. You can come up as you see fit. We have Captain Pakara, once again, from Honolulu Police Department. We also have with us the Director of the Department of Planning and Permitting, Director Don Takeuchi Apuna, and from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, again, Attorney Gabriel Huntington. We'll let Director Apuna come up first. Good afternoon, Director Takeuchi Apuna.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. We do appreciate the proposed CD1. I think that's a great add to provide some teeth and will really help us. So we're very supportive of the CD1. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Apuna. Members, do we have any questions for our DPP Director? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And one of mahalo to introducers, I think, out of the bills, I think this one in particular is my favorite. And I was just curious, Director. So I'm curious, and I know HPD is here, so I might have the same question, like whether there's any discussion of actually having a position in HPD that can supplement the work of detectives on various cases and kind of do the code enforcement side and create a more collaborative environment while the criminal investigation is going on. And I'll only throw that out there because I know there's probably going to be a discussion of who's going to be responsible for what, unless it's already been decided and agreed upon. But welcome any input.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Because as Councilmember Tupola had mentioned, this is like ongoing and we are utilizing it. I think we are kind of working out what each agency does and making sure there's clear lines between both, because I think overlap might be dangerous to some extent. So whether we need to legislate further, I think we need to let it develop a little more, but we're having really great partnerships with Prosecutor's Office and HPD on this.
Okay, mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Members, do we have any questions, any further questions for Director Apuna? Okay. Thank you, Director. I'd like to welcome Captain Pakara up.
Good afternoon again. I just want to say that we support this bill. There currently is cooperation going on, and this is just a way to formalize it and just start the conversation how we can create lines so that we're all in line of what we're responsible for. I'll be available for questions.
I had a quick question along the same lines of what Council Vice Chairman asked with DPP. I'm glad to hear that you guys are collaborating and working together. I'm just curious, do you need any additional resources? How are you planning on enforcing this? It sounds like you guys are in conversation with DPP, but will the police department then need further types of training or resources to enforce this type of infractions?
Yeah, so I think that is going to be down the line, something that we have to discuss and have a conversation about, but at least this bill creates some sort of foundation so that we can have those conversations and throw these ideas out there between the two departments.
Okay, we look forward to that because as Director Apuna said, we don't want to have anybody in danger as this is trying to be enforced. So the onus would probably be on your end greatly. So
yes,
to make sure that we provide the resources necessary to address
and then we'll definitely have to go and reapproach that.
Okay, thank you. Members, do we have any other questions for Captain Pakara? Yes, Council Vice Chair Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And mahalo, Captain, for all the work you're doing. And yeah, I wanted to get your feedback on that same question as well, kind of like Chair was mentioning. Because from on the outside, so just as the expert, I'm wondering like what would work best. I know there's concerns about DPP inspectors and what kind of involvement they would want. I'd assume that detectives doing the criminal investigations are super bogged down already. And so I'm just wondering like if because I think a one position budget out would be pretty simple. If it's like an HPD investigator that can come in, supplement and support the criminal investigation, but then do all these code assessments and work with DPP. But I don't know, that was kind of a thought that came up last year. Yeah.
I think we can get there. I don't want to answer for that yet. Just knowing that this is going through and then we can come to the table and then we can kind of see, similar to the other bills going around, it's giving us more options and to take different approaches so that we can look at our staffing to see if that affects where we can be more efficient. Maybe we're using too much staffing in one area because there's only one option. Now this creates more options. Now we can kind of spread it out and be more efficient. So I think we'll get there. But I think for this bill, it sets the foundation for us to have that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Any further questions? Really quick, I know we talked about this. So is there a different type of training that's going to be necessary? Because when we're dealing now with a different department. Thank you from our Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Mr. Huntington.
Good afternoon again, members and Chair. We are in support of this bill, and I worked again with Councilmember Tupolo's office to add some teeth to it. One of the concerns we have is we've received information that sometimes game rooms are placed in locations pending permit approval for construction, and so they're looking to make money on it during that period. By having this, that will eliminate that revenue stream, and I think can have meaningful impact in the game room area. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, members. Do we have any? If you can turn on your camera, if not, then we'll proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair. Natalie Wassa for the record. Just a comment. I think you said that there's a CD1 as there was for the prior bill, and I've looked and I don't see it online. So that just makes it really hard for the public to know exactly what you're proposing for changes and then to provide meaningful testimony for, to you. So I just request in the future that when you have those to post them somewhere so that the public has access to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, to clarify, it was a hand carried, and I believe Councilmember Tupola did go over it in the beginning of the measure. We do apologize with hand carries. They're not posted usually on the agenda. Did you want Councilmember Tupola to speak again to the
No, that's okay. I'll take a look at it when it comes up for public hearing. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you coming in and making stating that point, but thank you. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Okay. Seeing no further testimonies, members, we are in discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Bill 12, 2025 be amended to the hand-carried proposed CD1 submitted by Councilmember Tupola. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, the bill is amended to CD1. The chair then recommends that Bill 12, 2025 CD1 be reported out for passage on second reading and scheduling of a public hearing, and pursuant to its consecutive referral, be referred to the Committee on Budget. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 5, Bill 13, 2025. This bill relates to real property and addresses private real property subject to a lease, rental agreement, or Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 521, relating to the Residential Landlord-Tenant Code, and adds a new article to Chapter 41 of the Revised Ordinances of Honolulu 2021. This bill is introduced by Councilmembers Tupola and Dos Santos Tam, and I will defer to Councilmember Tupola at this time for the explanation. And there is also a hand-carried proposed CD1 offered by Councilmember Tupola. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. And yes, I apologize, Ms. Iwasa. Our full council meeting was last Wednesday, and we tried to rush and get these done before today. We really do want to make sure that the public can weigh in and read it thoroughly. So there is a CD, and it's specifically outlining and clarifying words such as authority, scope, redaction, restrictions, etc. So I do believe, in my opinion, for this CD, that we are trying to clarify some of the issues that were raised in full council. But I will be saying, for the sake of the committee time, that I think it's best for us to defer and discuss, because I do think, and we can have a little discussion here if you want, Chair. The intent is that we help landlords who really feel like they can't evict or enforce on a tenant. I'll give one example, and this is not a game room example, but I think, is the DPP director here? Or did she leave? She might have left. I wanted to give this example because it's always related to the property, fines, etc. But, I have a constituent that no matter what they do, they can't evict the tenant, and they've been getting fines day after day from DPP, now up to $240,000 of fines for a tenant that they can't control, they can't get out, they've tried to evict. So in many different cases in my community, we've actually used this, not this law, but we have used the permission of a landlord given to HPD to help protect the landlord's property and to properly evict someone who's not abiding by what they said that they were going to do in their tenant agreement. But I do believe that as written, there are concerns that this could be a little bit more pervasive. So we want to make sure this is narrow in scope and also only for very extreme circumstances that we would have to lean on this type of law to make sure that we can enforce in areas where really it's actually become a whole thing, a whole nuisance to the community. I have one that's right next to an elderly home, and no matter how many times we try to evict them, it's just, we really do need the landlords to get on board with this. So if we need to find another vehicle, we'll do that. But I do thank the Game Room Task Force for coming up with this as another suggestion so that we can increase the amount of tools that we're using to try to keep our communities safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. We'd like to again welcome back. Joining us, we do have from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Mr. Huntington, and from HPD, Captain Pacaro.
Good afternoon again, members and chair. I participated again with Councilmember Tupola's office in making amendments to this, and I apologize for the lateness. I've been working all morning on improving this. The goal of this was to narrow the parts that we had received feedback from the public that they were not comfortable with, and really focus on the powers that will help HPD empower landlords to evict tenants or other persons who have an interest in the property. The idea is that HPD would be authorized to share information that would otherwise, and again, solely in HPD's authority, solely in their discretion, provide information to landlords of information that could be used to evict persons. So these might be police reports, results of search warrant executions, and the gambling detail sergeant can make a choice to dedicate officers to go and, if necessary, testify in eviction court, but they would not be carrying out eviction. That would still stay with the now law enforcement agency. So the focus of this is to give HPD tools to empower landlords and empower other private actions to eliminate these. And the way I see this is as a force multiplier. If we can get insurers on board, because the conditions that we see in these game rooms, especially with regard to the citations that DPP is making, there's fire hazard, there is kicking holes in the wall to pull out electrical cords. So these are dangers to the community. And by getting insurers involved, getting mortgagors involved, and getting landlords involved, we can force multiply and close these down with effective tools simply by sharing information. Thank you. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, members. Do we have any questions for Mr. Huntington? No? Okay, thank you, Mr. Huntington.
Thank you.
Captain Pacaro? We welcome you if you'd like to add anything to the discussion.
Captain Pacaro with the Narcotics Vice Division, Honolulu Police Department. I'll just be here for questions. I just received the CD1. It looks good in my first perusal, and I'm just here for any questions if you guys have.
Thank you, members. Do we have any questions for Captain Pacaro? Okay, seeing no further questions, thank you, Captain. Members will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
We will now proceed with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, yes, we do.
I'd like to welcome again Ms. Natalie Iwasa.
Thank you, Chair Natalie Iwasa. For the record, I absolutely oppose this. And again, I haven't seen the CD1. I understand it's to tighten the language, but I did look up chapter or section 521 of the revised Hawaii revised statutes. And normally a landlord can inspect a home for repairs, maintenance, to show it to prospective tenants, that kind of thing. If they want to do anything beyond that, they have to get a court order. So this, in the prior commission, the council meeting, it was mentioned that landlords can request HPD via a letter to investigate. And I don't see that anywhere in this statute. So I request one more time that if that's true, that the public be provided that information, because it seems to conflict with what the statute says. And that's in my written testimony. My other concern with this is that, and again, I haven't seen the CD1, but my other concern is that landlords can use this to threaten their tenants. If they have, I don't know, for whatever reason, they want to sell the house, they want to get rid of the tenant, whatever, they can say, well, I'm going to send a request to HPD to come and investigate you, and hold that over the tenant's head until they change whatever the behavior is that the landlord doesn't like. So, you know, I look forward to additional discussion and the next iteration of this, but I just am really very concerned about it. Thank you for allowing my testimony.
Thank you, Ms. Iwasa. Members, if we have any questions for the testifier. Okay, seeing no further questions. Given the discussion that, members, we are in discussion at this time.
Can I ask a quick question to Captain?
Sure. If we could have Captain Pacaro, and I'll have Councilmember Tupola proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify with the previous question, so specifically the one I'm talking about, because we've done this in my district, is not necessarily a tenant with a tenant agreement. The ones that we actually had HPD help with, they were literally illegally squatting in the property. They don't live there. There's no tenant agreement. So maybe that's where the confusion is. Like, I'm not saying that in some of the game rooms, I mean, I don't know all the game rooms, but I guess maybe they do have an agreement, but I would say the large majority of game rooms don't have a tenant agreement. So are we really actually referring to squatting? Maybe is that where the conflict is?
I would say you're correct. A lot of them are in between the agreement, that's and they're quote unquote squatting. But I think I just read the CD1 and we actually took off the inspection side.
Right.
And it's all information sharing now. So I think that was related to the inspection is what I heard. I apologize.
No problem.
Okay.
So we're going to let this marinate, guys. We're going to let it post, have everyone read it, because we did read information from our lawyers. But again, they hadn't seen the CD. So let's see if the CD cleans it up, because again, this is not meant to be a strong arm tool. Most of the people we're dealing with do not have legal agreements to be there. And we actually are trying to protect the community. So we'll try to make it as specific as possible while still preserving tenant and property owners' rights. We don't want to take that away. But thank you, Captain. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Members, any further questions or discussion? Councilmember Wire?
Thank you, Chair. And really appreciate the CD. I'd have no issues with that, and even think more from the original bill could be included, because I do recognize and appreciate Councilmember Tupola's the issues she's bringing up, and so I appreciate the leadership on this. Captain, I was just going to ask, just to make sure, because I don't want to overstep in ideas that I have, but so is HPD generally okay with the idea of being assigned as an agent and going in and maybe not doing rental agreement inspections, but maybe even doing, like, if someone's lawfully present under the rental agreement or not, like in the squatting situation, right? Like, you'd have to have some type of authority absent the owner to say, we know this person is not supposed to be here. So I mean, is HPD more comfortable with that, or were there any concerns with that?
I think there was a little bit of uncomfortableness with the inspection side of allowing us to go in, but taking back from the last meeting, reading through it and seeing that there are certain protocols to be made, notification. It's not just we're just going to barge in similar to a search warrant. Absolutely not. It would be an up and up notification that we're coming during these times to inspect. We're a little bit more comfortable with that. And then now with the CD1 pulling back a little bit more, just to have the information sharing, which allows us to kind of say, hey, landlord, hey, property owner, just in case you don't know, these things are happening on your property. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the intent, is what I read from it.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Members, any further questions or discussion? Okay, seeing no further discussion or questions. Okay, sure. So we're now in discussion.
My apologies.
Wire.
No, I just want to throw out, again, like I was saying, I appreciate Councilmember Tupola, Councilmember Dos Santos' time leadership, and would fully support the CD. whether it passes out today or, it gets deferred. And I think my main concern was just the idea of, when you dive into like the actual lease enforcement and looking at the terms and then doing a report that's going to require a landlord to act on the eviction, just creates like a whole lot of civil, like say an HPD officer comes in, inspects, there's a barking dog violation, someone gets a violation on a minor ticket, and then the landlord has to go forward with an eviction. And then I think also just diving through disputed lease terms can be dicey. But in terms of trying to get HPD able to enforce and get folks squatting or off the property, like I think that that's much more appropriate. And so if there's additional language that could go in to achieve that, I'd be supportive. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire.
Chair?
Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, based on Vice Chair's comments, if it is appropriate to pass out and we discuss again when it comes back for second reading, because really the cleanup was exactly what Councilmember Wire just talked about. We're drawing back any of that enforcement power that would be, overly inserting themselves into any agreements. So if he's amenable to it and you are, I'm fine to pass it out. If we want to marinate on it, let it post, let people read it, that's fine too. But I do think the prosecutor, he's been working overtime and he's been sick and we've been pushing him to get these edits. So I just want to say thank you to Gabe. We really are trying to make a task force recommendations into law. That's what we hope for, right? Make the task force, give us the suggestions, make it into law. So this was not just vetted by me and Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. There's a whole task force that came up with this as a suggestion and we're just trying to codify it. So up to you, Chair. I'll support any recommendation you have.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. And I do want to thank you. I know that the prosecuting attorney's office has been working hard, and I thank you for working with us here in the council. I know it's not just been here in this committee or this measure, it's been on other measures as well. So thank you for all of your hard work. I think based on the discussion that we've had today, I really do appreciate everything that's been discussed and brought up and the questions asked. I want to mahalo Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, but also especially Councilmember Tupola for good grief working on this to make it really relevant and exact for how you want it in your community. I think this is an issue, while it's not, again, maybe prevalent in all of our districts, it's on the island enough. But based on, I think, comments by some of the testifier as well as the discussion, at this time, I think the chair, I'm inclined to postpone it. So that way we can, as you say, marinate, but also think about what we can do. Our next committee hearing, hopefully we'll be ready by then. But at this time, the chair recommends that action on Bill 13, 2025 be postponed to a date and time to be determined by the committee chair. And I look forward to having further discussion at that time. So members, the last item on the agenda today is item number 6, Resolution 25-42. This resolution urges the city administration to provide unlawful gambling room prevention and reporting programs as detailed in the resolution. Councilmembers Tupola and Nishimoto introduced this measure, and I will defer to either of them at this time for the explanation.
Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Tupola.
If Councilmember Nishimoto wants to make any comments, I'll let him make it first, and then I'll wrap it.
I defer to the primary introducer.
Okay, thank you. Just making sure. I'm not trying to say I'm the only person on this island with game rooms. There's obviously a lot in Councilmember Dos Santos Tam district, but also in Councilmember Nishimoto's district. Our main concern is related deaths. And the reason why there's related shootings and deaths at game room is because there's a large quantity of cash in there, and there's usually illegal firearms, and there is no type of enforcement because of the way that the operation is running illegally. So specifically, this resolution is for us to basically cover what was done in the report of the task force. So on October 8th, 2024, the report on the task force on gambling rooms was transmitted as a council communication. And then if you go on the whereas clause, specifically, we're talking about public outreach programs. We're also suggesting that we could possibly do a survey to solicit and analyze any information provided by the community. I am saying this because specifically in Councilmember Dos Santos Tam's district, the one that was the worst was across the elementary school. And all of the kids that I talked with, he actually brought me out there, said that it was very normal, that every day they'd see people going in and out, that there was prostitution, that there was drug dealing right in front of their school. So This particular resolution is suggesting that we just do a little bit more information gathering and figure out if there's ways for us to really protect our communities when, as I mentioned earlier, the one in my district that's the most pervasive is right next to an elderly home. So it's in areas where we're trying to protect the community, but I have no idea why these locations are chosen, but we want to make sure that the community feels safe. So it's a suggestion for us to just further do the data gathering. And I will say that we proposed some bills at the state ledge that got deferred, unfortunately. And luckily, the new head of DLE used to work for HPD. So Major Lambert, he'll be working with me to do briefings because I think for some legislators, they don't see how pervasive the problem is, even shooting after shooting after shooting that we have. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get some of the state laws changed that we needed to. So this will be a nice step. It's a baby step, but it's still a step towards improvement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Okay, we'd like to now welcome back Captain Picaro, as well as Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Gabriel Huntington. You guys are popular today.
Good afternoon again, Chair and members. The purpose of this section that came out of the Game Room Task Force was to provide education and also to provide resources for those who are suffering from gambling addiction. One of the items we get from search warrant executions is video sometimes from these places, and you see people going in day after day spending $20 bill after $20 bill, and these are people who genuinely need help. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, members. Do we have any questions for Mr. Huntington? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Captain Picaro? Or members, do we have any questions for Captain Picaro? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. We'll now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding on with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you, members. We are in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. I just want to capitalize on what the prosecutor said. I will say that unfortunately in my community, and I'm not sure if this is the same in other communities, these areas really, really prey on poor people, people that really don't have the money or the wherewithal, and they're just there day after day. I've had community members bring their children there, watch their parents gamble away everything. So if there is any way we can be more proactive, that's what this is suggesting. The other ones are enforctive, they're very reactive. This one is suggesting if there's any way for us to do proactive things, positive messaging, information to the community, this would be helping us to maybe stop the downstream of the effects of this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Members, any further discussion? Thank you again. I want to thank you, Councilmember Tupola, as well as Councilmember Nishimoto, and all those who have been working very actively to address the issues that are currently affecting our communities in a negative manner. And we look forward to moving this forward. That being said, the Chair recommends that Resolution 25-42 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. I want to mahalo everyone for being here today. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.